Hello everyone, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this is Ask Hugo.
And also Jake Reads.
Yes, this is a special video because we haven't done these in a while, and also we're not working on main videos because we're working on the Christmas special. This is kind of a big episode of those things.
It's a big one. And then next week we're going to have a movie review.
Yeah.
And the week after that, the Christmas special.
So today we're not only going to be answering your questions from my perspective, we're also going to be having Jake probably yell at you for your stupid comments.
Probably.
So I guess let's begin with an Ask Hugo.
Tanuki Pants asks, I've got a question that's slightly related to the first one. The first one being, can you have a relationship with a theist, basically? I really like a guy, and he's really smart and laid back, but I don't know of his religious beliefs. Being with an atheist is very important to me. That's my prerogative as a human being. How can I find this out without flat out asking him? It seems a bit intrusive to me. Is there a way to casually slip this into conversation?
I would say just ask the person. I mean, depending on how long you've known them, if that's something that's important to you, you should probably figure that out. Like, if that's a deal breaker, you need to figure that out so you're not...
you don't want the deal broken after there's a long-term emotional investment.
Yeah. And I would also say, honestly, if they're a person who's religious but otherwise a nice person,
no reason to.
It's fine. I mean, unless you think it's going to cause tons of friction, then I can see it. But
like if they're culturally Christian and not necessarily practicing Christian, those relationships tend to work out.
But if they're like, I understand if they like go to church every Sunday and stuff.
Yeah, I can understand being upset, like worried about it.
But seeing as though it hasn't come up yet, I assume it's not that big of a part of their life. They're not like, oh, do you want to hang out Sunday? No, I'm going to church. Like, you know. Yeah. So I'd say just ask them.
Yeah,
but
and maybe not like, hey, are you an atheist? But something like, I just want to get to know you better. Like, what do you like, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe the third or fourth question, you're like, oh, what are your religious beliefs? Or do you have any?
There you go.
And, real easy. Real cash.
Super cash.
Totes cash, like cashmere.
All right, so now Jake reads your comments. This one, I don't know what video this was from. This is his name. Some black guy says, Asians. And it has 1 thumbs up.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree 100%. And I'll tell you why. Asians.
Yes.
Cyberlord asks Hugo, and he's got this really cool Cyberman thing. Really into that. How did you come up with the name The Bible Reloaded? What a good fucking question.
This is a good question.
Nobody's asked that before. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that is weird, because Jake and I worked together at the time, and we had been throwing around ideas for this show. But the Bible idea came, so when we started doing that, as you do, we're like, what's the name of the show?
Right.
And we came up with a couple stupid names.
Yep.
And then one day, Jake comes into work and he's like, I got an idea. And I was like, okay. And he's like, The Bible Reloaded. And at this moment, I thought, that's the stupidest fucking name we've come up with yet.
Full disclosure, I was not crazy about it, but I really liked the idea of, how The Matrix is one of the best, it's just such a great sci-fi movie, and then Reloaded ruins it, and it just, brings down everything that, you thought Keanu Reeves' career was going to be. That was in my head, and I was like, this is it's a sequel, but a shitty one.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the meta joke, but it didn't, obviously we're not like a shitty version of the Bible.
Yeah, I don't know.
It just kind of, it was funny in my head. And
honestly, now though, I never, for the first year, I never thought it was, I still don't think it's a good name.
I don't really
It's
either.
not a good name.
It doesn't really make sense.
But here we are, years later, and I can't imagine it being called anything else. Right. I can't think of a better name.
My pitch for this succeeding, the thing that made it sound good was man, TBR sounds good. That really rolls.
Yeah.
And we were like, yeah, okay, I guess, whatever. And then Hugo was like, but I get to name the next one.
And I did, and that's how unpopular culture happened, so it worked out. My name, far better than The Bible
Way better.
Reloaded.
Topical.
Way better. Topical.
It's the Bible, but it was Reloaded.
Yeah.
And then when I found a Jesus gun picture, I'm like, okay, I guess it worked out.
Yeah. And that's the story of where the shitty name for this channel came from.
Yay.
Alright, the next Jake Reads comes from Atheist Bible Study number 55, which was about foreskins.
Tasty foreskins.
And David Gamma Atheist said, I'll trade you 10 foreskins for more foreskins.
This is the best idea. It's like in Always Sunny in Philadelphia when they go to Dave & Buster's and then they want to make their own self-sustaining economy. This is like that, and it'll totally work. Like we'll start out and we'll pass out a bunch of foreskins to people, and they'll be like, "Why are you handing me this sticky foreskin? Like it's clearly fresh. It's not crispy yet. It's like, malleable, but if you pull on it too much, it'll rip a little bit." Yeah. But then they come back because that's the only currency we accept, and then I'll hand them foreskins, and then it'll keep going.
I have complete confidence in you.
Mm-hmm. It'll work. Madeline Popa asks Hugo, "I've got a question." Well, that's convenient because we answer them here. "If you were to have kids, how would you handle the religion part to them? I've been having a debate with a Christian friend saying that if I don't tell my children about God and how he loves them, my children will become social outcasts for not being able to answer in school as a question. Who is God? It was a bit of a killer for me since I believe in choice, but a child can't visualize the concept of God and or even the skepticism of him existing or not. Any help?" So basically, you're asking, should I tell my child that God is a concept and then try to explain that concept to them, even though it doesn't seem like you are religious?
I see no reason to, pretend that the concept of God isn't a thing that exists. Certainly, it's a thing that is in the world, so yes, of course your kid needs to know about it. The difference is you're not trying to tell them that it's a real thing. There's no problem with saying, oh yeah, God is the thing that certain people believe in, and these are the properties that people think he has, and you can explain even, I don't believe it, I don't think there's evidence for it. But I also wouldn't force it on your kid saying there is no God.
Right.
I think that's
And I don't know how old your kids are, but around the time that they're 4 or 5 years old, they're surprisingly intelligent little human beings. They're not going to be able to do really complex things, but they'll be able to ask you leading questions that you will be able to answer. Well, what about this? And then because they'll think of some stuff that maybe you haven't thought of because they're, they don't have any preconceptions about how they're supposed to think about things. So I don't think it's destructive to ask them about that, and I don't know why they would get asked who is God in school unless you're putting them into a parochial Christian school, which why are you?
Yeah, I know.
Unless it's the best situation that if if education is just super great, and that I get it, I guess, but what a weird question for them to be. I was never asked that in school.
Yeah, that's a weird. I don't understand that parents' perspective. I think they're wrong.
Yeah.
In more than one sense.
Yeah. And social outcast. I don't know where you live. Maybe you live in a really conservative area or something, but
where we live, it wouldn't be an issue. I have friends who are
Christian.
We have
a very Catholic, very Catholic, and a lot of Protestants too, population here, and it's relatively conservative in our area, and
especially kids. Kids don't they
don't care.
Kids don't have that necessary prejudice at that age until it's taught to them. So I wouldn't think it's an issue. I don't hide the concept from them, and if they ask about it, answer as honestly as you can. That's the best advice I can give you.
Yeah.
That's how I would handle it, but I don't plan on having kids, so
you shouldn't.
No,
they'd be either far too hideous or far too sexy. There's no middle ground for your kids.
It's true. All right, this is from our God's Not Dead review. M. Schaff says, "I see more tolerance from Christians than atheists. Atheists make fun of religion, but they don't understand insulting a religion is like insulting somebody. It's our way of life. Also, I like how you draw conclusions that they did it for money. This is the most biased thing I have ever seen. Then again, atheists rule the internet."
I think the most important thing we need to take away from this comment is that we rule the internet, and I would like to petition to be king of the entire internet and usurp Al Gore.
Can I be your squire?
You can be my squire and my. Do they have main knights? I don't know how that works, but I want you to be my main knight. Okay. And I want you to ride steeds, 2 steeds at a time though, like skis, ski steeds. Okay. So you'd stand on them, and then you'd have 2 jousting poles, javelins. I don't know what those are called.
Lances,
but you'll have to hold actual lance bass.
Okay.
From NSYNC. And that's what I want. That's the only thing I really absorbed from that whole comment.
Yeah, the rest was bullshit, so.
Ruzong X asks Hugo. I don't know, that sounds like a Mega Man thing. "Well, you said to ask questions, so here's mine." You're so begrudgingly doing this, I'm surprised we picked this one. "I know we're not supposed to ask Jake questions, but this was obviously inspired by him. Have any students or parents of students, coworkers, or family members found the channel and asked you guys about it? And how would you guys handle that? Or if it did happen, how did you handle that?"
For me, I mean, coworkers or anything, no, not without knowing about it. Same with family members. I mean, believe it or not, we only have 50,000 subscribers. For YouTube, that's really not that much. It's very hard for someone to just find that. But those that have heard about it and then looked it up, I know my one aunt, who I think I've talked about before, who's actually the very intelligent one. She has a doctorate. She's a Christian, though. She found it, and she actually...
found it independent of you?
No, she heard about it,
okay.
and then
Probably
she
from your mom.
looked it up eventually. And from me, we talked about it. And she was actually really impressed. She's like, wow, look how many subscribers you have. You're actually a pretty big deal. Which I disagree with. We're not really a big deal, but she was impressed.
But I'm proud of it, though. I mean...
My parents know about it. They kind of... My mom isn't, like, super fond of the concept, but she's... likes that I'm doing something that I like, and what, you know what I mean?
She's kind of... She thinks things are funny anyway.
Yeah,
though,
and she laughs at the show. She watches it. She thinks the
Does
things
she watch
we say...
every week? I don't...
She'll usually wait a while, and then she'll sit down and, like, the other day, she had a day where she watched, like, hours worth.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So that's why every time I talk to her, she talks to me like we talk all the time.
I think that's why. One episode we talked about it being like the Terminator and you're really my dad, and then she made jokes about fucking you for like the whole day. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
I can assure you that will never happen.
Yeah. But yeah, they're usually pretty alright with it. Although my mom does have this thing where she seems to believe that someday I'm going to
be a Christian,
convert, and then become like a pastor, and I will use my experience as an atheist to convert people to Christianity.
Well, you know,
like,
though,
write
like
a
if that
book.
happens, we'll blow up. So it's economically great for me.
If we wanted to not give a shit and just make so much money, we could become Christians now and write a book and make a ton of money. But I have more of a conscience than Joel Olstein, so I can't.
Snap. Shots fired. Since this is a big one, I guess I'll answer the question a little bit. My mom knows about it, and she really enjoys it. She's not religious, but she's not like an atheist. She believes in ghosts and shit. She's not the brightest lady. The thing about it is, though, when she'll tell someone about, like, they'll ask, like, what's Jake doing in his life? And she'll be like, going to school a lot, and he's real busy, and he also does this YouTube channel, and it's getting really popular, and I'm really proud of him. And she'll start it off, like, really positive, and then they'll be like, oh, cool, what's it about? And then she'll say the words, they're trying to disprove the Bible. And it's like, no, bitch, that's not... Mom! Come the fuck on, lady! Like, that's not even close to it. We just read it and laugh at it. It's not like fucking scholarly dissertation on the merits or lack thereof of the Bible. Like, come on.
There are other channels that do that very well.
Like Bible Skeptic.
Yeah.
As far as how I handle that sort of thing, though, like coworkers have found out, or friends have found out that are Christian, they're always usually supportive. Like, oh, that's really neat. Like, even if they don't agree with it, they're like, you're still funny. Like, I think that's the big draw. And that's actually one of the things that we enjoy about the channel, is that we can be, air quotes, bipartisan for a lot of non-extreme Christians. Like most of the Christians that like our show are the reasonable ones that I would hang out with and that are like my friends. So, it's just one of those things. It's not really a big deal. Like, I'm not embarrassed about the show at all, so.
No.
Bring it on, family.
This is one I actually picked, but it's kind of a Jake read your comments, so...
Okay.
Grant Train says, all religions are severe mental health disorders. It annoys me that people think you can have a meaningful relationship as a reasonable person with a vulnerable, ill person who has clear, poor grip on reality. Surely if you have a rival for their affection in the form of an imaginary friend, then this is clearly a flawed relationship. Hashtag don't bag Mormons. I would say... You're wrong.
Me too.
And I hate people who go about it this way. Are you honestly saying that you think every single person, which is over 90% of the world's population, have a mental disorder? Now, don't get me wrong. I think they're wrong.
Right, but just having a wrong worldview doesn't make you fucking mentally ill or brainwashed or retarded or less intelligent than you otherwise would be. It's just a fucking worldview.
You can be wrong.
Yeah.
Being wrong is not a mental illness. There's been incredibly intelligent people who believe in God. For instance, the head of the Human Genome Project, one of them, there were two of them, one of them I know is a Christian. Yeah. That person isn't an idiot. That person
he's very intelligent.
He's just wrong about something.
Right. It's no big deal. Newton, very, very devout, brilliant guy. Obviously, he didn't have the know-how that we do now, but that's usually one that they always bring out, like... But do you think that fucking Sir Isaac Newton had a mental problem? Like, he had mental issues?
Maybe Asperger's.
He had Asperger's, probably. But it
Yeah,
doesn't mean that you have a fucking mental disorder. Or even non-Christian theists. Like Caesar Augustus of the Romans, very like, and they had like more lax religion, but still religious nonetheless. You can't blanket a fucking entire population or demographic like that. It's just asinine.
No.
And frankly, you should just leave and never come back. I don't want you here. You should be gone. Stephen King fan 555.
I'm sorry you're a fan of Stephen King.
Stephen King fan. It's not Stephen King fan though. It's Stephen King fan. That's one word.
Yeah.
I don't know what a King fan is. Does he just like waft cool air towards him?
Yeah, with poor writing.
Yes, Hugo.
It's okay, they explain it in Dark Tower. No, they don't. Fuck you. Jesus Christ. If you have to write an entire book series to explain plot holes, you're doing a bad job. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm interested in knowing how you learned all of your video editing, and what are the costs to start up a show like this, such as for a decent camera and mic, etc. I'd love to do a show about the Bible from an atheist perspective as well. Where should I start? You shouldn't start. This is our corner, bitch. Get the fuck off it. This is our turf.
Honestly, though, startup cost, it's really going to depend on what you're going for.
Like the very first episode, which sucks, we used my external mic on my laptop.
Awful.
Just awful. Don't ever watch that. Actually, we should delete it. No, we can't.
We can't because it's a series.
Yeah,
someday I'd like to redo it, though. But anyway. Basically, if you're going for a camera, you could probably just start out with something like a GoPro that's pretty cheap relative. Or maybe, am I thinking of GoPros? Whatever they are. The flip
GoPros,
cameras.
the flip cameras.
Yeah. At least to start
something
out.
HD. And as far as the mics, like the very first mics we had were headset mics, and you can hear that because we get really puffy sometimes if they're too close to our mouths. And then later on we get stand mics, but they were like kind of cheapos.
Those weren't too bad though.
They were
for
like
what they were
30, 40
They were
bucks,
like
right?
$30.
Yeah, they were pretty good, but like they still like the audio quality. They had really low gains thresholds, and they also had like they were really bad with pop. Even though we didn't have pop filters, but I mean like even if we did, they still would have been like off, and we sounded more. We didn't sound as rich. And like right now, we're using Yeti Blue mics with pop filters, and pretty soon we're gonna have a shock mount.
Yeah, they're all right.
I mean, this is just a wild difference. This is probably the best mic. I don't think we need to upgrade at any point from these mics unless we just want more features.
Yeah, the only problem at this point is sometimes we're not the best audio, how do I put it?
Mixers?
Mixers. We're not that, so those are the only problems.
Yeah, I think like our technique as far as audio mixing is concerned could get better and will get better, and it has been. But like a lot of people had issue with the Repsion thing, but that wasn't my fault. Like he had a headset mic and he blew into it, and we didn't notice until later. So
as far as the video editing, that's just something Jake I know has taken video editing classes
like in high school.
I've kind of learned as I've gone. It's not. We started out really, really simple, but as we've gone, it's gotten a little more. I mean, at the end of the day, it's mostly pictures for the Bible.
Our program isn't really the most
edit heavy.
Yeah, so it's cool, but like I had taken multimedia classes in high school, and I had actually worked with Adobe, which we don't use, but it's just something you kind of you find your own style over time, and ours is a glorified slideshow
basically. This is from some video, I don't know which one. Harridan32 typed this in some language. I don't know what this is, but then
like Cantonese or
I don't know, but Jake ran it through Google Translate and it says dog family food.
And I don't know what that's either the most or least insightful thing I've ever read. Like that could be just so world changing if I was brilliant enough to decode what that meant. That's like some guru shit probably, because it's in another. Look at that other language.
Looks beautiful.
It does. I don't like why dog family food though?
Something's probably lost in translation. We're missing out.
Is it dog food family?
I don't
know.
A
family that has a dog food emporium?
Maybe it's like the family is the dog's food.
The dog is the family food. Loving boarding asks Hugo, I assume they did a snap point like that. Do you think it's wrong to kill and eat humans or chimpanzees who have the same or similar mental capacity as chickens have? Eats hummus.
Can I just say we know what you're doing?
You're begging the question so fucking hard.
You're trying to make a veganism argument, which I can completely understand.
Yeah, me too, but I mean, come on, like get original here. Just be honest. You don't have to fucking try to veil it.
Yeah, first let me say a little bit about my opinions on veganism. I think that's completely reasonable, and I've heard the arguments for veganism and vegetarianism, and if that's your thing, that's cool, I get it.
There are strong moral arguments for veganism. I totally understand it.
However, taking those into account versus, my own worldview, I don't consider that to be for me. I get it, but it's just not something I'd be willing to do. Mm-hmm. So get that out of the way. Now to deal with your actual question here in front of me, do I think it's okay to kill and eat humans or chimpanzees who have the same or similar mental capacity as a chicken? I'll say no. Can I give you total, numbers on a board? Why not? No.
It just feels bad.
And is that an emotional knee-jerk reaction? Probably. I'm not gonna lie to you and say it's a calculated thing. It's not, but, yeah, that's pretty much my opinion. It's an emotional response, I think.
Although,
and here's
frankly,
the thing.
I'd try just about any meat once or twice.
Yeah, I'd
try it.
I almost feel worse that it's like it's like a retarded monkey.
Yeah, I'd rather it was like a fully functional monkey and we murdered it in cold blood and then ate it.
If someone was like, hey, here's a monkey we prepared, cool, I'd eat that.
But if they said, hey, here's a retarded monkey, we were like, uh-huh.
Yeah. And as far as, human meat, again, I'd try pretty much anything once.
I think I'd try
that.
If it was like a deep fried thigh piece, I think I could stomach that.
As long as it wasn't like a person who was murdered for it. If it was like someone who died.
I don't think, and that's obviously your moral objections. Like, well, Steve, you don't want them murdered, but it's okay for cows to be murdered. Yeah, because cows are fucking delicious. Have you had a cheeseburger? They're divine.
And again, talking about the whole veganism thing, I get it, because I do think factory farms have terrible conditions.
I do too. And I actually, personally, I try not to buy that kind of shit, and I try not to support that. Yeah. And honestly, I eat a lot of vegetables. Hugo does not, but...
The last time I ate a vegetable was...
the fact that you can remember this is disgusting.
I'm trying to think. Thanksgiving? Jesus. Maybe.
I have every day. I have.
But I also ate about a pound and a half of organ meat in that stuffing.
That's
so
true. It was good stuffing.
It canceled it out for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'd say no, and mostly it's an emotional response.
I think that's fine as long as you're honest with your fucking stance.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just don't beg the question. That's annoying.
Yeah.
Don't do
but
that.
As far as veganism, no, I'm not a vegan, though I do understand, and I can respect that.
Vegan friends.
I get it.
I like vegan food too.
I don't like people who get really. I don't like people who think
about it.
I don't like people who think you're a worse person for being not vegan.
Yeah.
I also don't like people who think it's wrong to be vegan, because I've heard really asshole-ish people like, why are you a fucking vegan? I think that's stupid too.
That's stupid. It's just a dietary thing that you want to do. It's cool, man. Just
everyone be cool to each other.
Eat your tofu. I like tofu.
I've never had tofu.
Yes, you have.
Have I?
I made you try it.
Oh.
I was like, hey, try this. Then. And you're like, oh, that's pretty good. And I was like, not chicken, tofu.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. This relates to an episode we did where people kept asking us, hey, those Lego pictures that you do in the Bible episodes, where do you get those? And Jake did a whole thing, because obviously when we shit on you guys, we're at least half joking.
Tongue-in-cheek, usually.
Because people kept asking us that, so Jake was like, fuck you people for asking this. And then Casey Peringo commented on that. I genuinely feel like a dick for asking about the Legos in a previous video. I'm so sorry.
Good. You fucking be sorry. I hope it ruined your day. I hope you were gonna go have a good day, maybe get a bite to eat, and you're just like, fuck it, I can't. You just ate ice cream and watched, I don't know, just all the reruns of the first season of Survivor, because you can't even watch good programming when you're sad. I hope that was your day. Yeah, but seriously, I don't care. It's not that big a deal. You guys are just weird. You guys are all weirdos. Yeah. But I love you. Except you, Casey Perigo. The Dole Rookie asks Hugo, what do you think of the Duggar family and the Quiverfull movement?
I hate the Duggars on a personal level.
Those
because
Duggars.
They seem like the biggest douchebags in the world.
And there's just so many of them.
As far as the Quiverfull movement, which if you don't know, it's kind of this idea that you should have as many kids as you can because you can, and kids are it's good to spread your beliefs and stuff through your kids. And so if you don't know the Duggars, by the way, they have that show 19 Kids and Counting, or it's 20 now, I don't know. They have 20 kids.
It's disgusting.
I think it's terrible for a couple of reasons.
Do any of them have developmental issues, by the way? Because
Not-
20 is breaching on the
know.
point. Like, that's close to the point where it's really irresponsible to be having kids.
I agree.
Actually 10 is, but...
Because I think there's no way you can give all those kids adequate attention as a parent.
Yeah.
That's one.
The kid's clearly co-parent.
Yeah,
like
obviously.
I mean, you watch that for a second, you're like, oh yeah, those have to... They did.
I think that's messed up.
Yeah.
And two, just... I think that people should, for the most part, within reason, behave in a way that if everyone in the world behaved that way, everything would work out. But if everyone tried to have all these kids, we'd be fucked because population is already becoming an issue, depending on where you live. Not as much in, the U.S., but in certainly...
but our consumption rates are so ridiculous that if we sustain the... Like, if we brought our consumption rate down to the average consumption rate of the entire world, which is skewed by us and other Western nations, everyone would have enough to eat and it would be just fine.
In fairness...
And population would level out at about 6 billion. Like, obviously... And that's not people dying. That's just people not having to reproduce so much because in poor countries you need more children to work more so that they can support you in your elderly years because there's not a support system in place like Social Security or stuff like that, which is why things like Social Security are so important. It stems population. I know you don't think, like, when you look at it, you're like, oh, it's just a social program. But things like that really help your long-term survivability of a nation.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the Quiverfull thing and the Duggars are full of shit. It's short-sighted and selfish, and I think they're douchebags.
I agree.
This was on a video from a long time ago. This was one of our earlier videos where I told the story of how when I was a Christian and very, very young, like 8 or something, how I wanted to commit suicide because I wanted to go to heaven because in Christian school I was told how good it was.
Yeah.
And this person, Stephen Rennings, commented, "Guys, you should tell another story like when you tried to kill yourself when you were a kid."
What the fuck, Steve? What a weird fucking person. Like, why do you... I don't think he means it in the way it reads, but goddamn, man.
Yeah.
What do you want to hear, dude? Like, I was having a really bad day like 3 weeks ago and fucking cut myself. Like, that's like, which is inaccurate, by the way. I don't
have any good stories like that. That's my one. Actually, I have
funny stories, but I don't have.
From that same school, I went to a Christian camp, a summer camp. It's not as interesting of a story. It was just a weird fucking camp. It was called Camp Kobiak.
Oh. And
a couple things happened. Boys and girls had to swim separately in the lake.
It makes sense. You want to have, 10-year-olds fucking in a lake.
We watched these Christian movies that were so cheesy and bad. They're like TBR review worthy. That's how bad they were. And also, this has nothing to do with religion, but I woke up one morning, and I was so young at this point, I don't even remember. But I had to pee so bad, but the cabin was far away from the bathrooms. And how old was I? I must have been like in first grade, maybe.
Wow.
So I got out of bed and I just couldn't, so I went in the corner.
You peed in the corner of the fucking cabin?
I tried... I don't know what I was thinking. I had a pair of underwear from yesterday, so I held them in my hand, held them over, like, my dick, and tried to pee into the underwear.
That didn't work out, did it? There's pee everywhere.
But, as you would imagine, people were like, what's that kid doing in the corner? And they noticed what I was doing mid-pee. And
you can't stop, though, can you?
But I couldn't stop!
That's so fucking weird, man.
I was so embarrassed.
You should be. You should be embarrassed still.
And I don't remember what happened after that. I must have blocked it out. But, yeah, that happened.
Well,
And, someone probably had to clean up some pee off the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
There's a story, not about suicide, about kind of peeing my pants.
Sort of. Like on purpose, though.
But on purpose, yeah.
That's weird. Yeah. What a weird thing. Whiplash Gaze asked Hugo, and I'm going to shorten this because, fuck, man, calm down. Keyboard's going to break. Basically, like, I know you say you don't believe in ghosts and stuff like that, and you're an atheist, but do you still get freaked out in, like, places where they say, oh, this is like a haunted castle, or it's, a creepy situation? Do you still freak out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe in ghosts or demons or any supernatural thing, but I think it's natural when you're in a place like that that's dark and old and creepy to be creeped out, but that's not a logical reaction, obviously. It's an emotional one, and that's just kind of how it is to be human. We have these innate reactions that can go against what we know, and I think this is a good thing to talk about because this is kind of how some people justify their religious views.
Absolutely.
In the sense that, yeah, maybe God doesn't make sense and the Bible doesn't make sense, but I feel it's real.
Right.
And I'm completely the opposite. I mean, you can feel something and be wrong. That's totally how human beings work. So, yes, I can feel creeped out by a place like a cemetery or an old house at night when I'm alone, and still rationally know there's no such thing as ghosts, because emotions aren't necessarily a logical thing. They're reactionary to your environment. This is on our video Tiny Shoes, where we looked at one of Jack Chick's computer-animated cartoons.
Such gold.
And if you don't know, in that, there was a child who didn't get a pair of shoes, and then they went out
From his drunk dad.
And they went out into the rain and died of pneumonia.
Yeah. Almost immediately, which is hard to do. He got super pneumonia.
Yeah. And Autumn Crusader says, I really don't think a pair of shoes would stop storm-related pneumonia when the kid is stupid enough to go into a storm and curl up in a ball of cold mud.
I agree with you entirely. I couldn't have said that better myself, and we should have said that line in the fucking episode, because that is the most accurate description of what happens in that cartoon.
That kid gave the fuck up. Even animals know to find shelter. This kid he was like, this is where I die.
He just kind of walked out into the rain and was like, I have a drunk dad, I'm 8, this is my decision.
Yeah. Worked out, though. He went off to planet heaven.
With Jesus.
Yep. You don't know what we're talking about, go watch that fucking video. And the last one is an Ask Hugo, and this is actually the first one I've ever actually taken from Twitter. I know I say my Twitter all the time. Yeah. My Twitter handle is Ask Hugo, but not a lot of people ask me questions on there. So here's the first Ask Hugo question from Twitter, and it's not totally a question, but I want to address it.
All right, so, not Victoria. Hi, Tori. I talk to you a lot. I love you. Asks Hugo, you guys just revealed that Hugo is not Hugo's real name. Now I'm curious as to what Hugo's real name is.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Hugo is not my real name. It's just what people have called me for a long time.
And I refuse to call Hugo by any other name, even though his girlfriend calls him his real name.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit. I think that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
And, people want to know this kind of thing. I'm never going to tell you. I'm never going to tell you what my real name is.
You might find out if you meet us in person.
And even then, you'd have to, steal my driver's license, which I hope you don't do. But I'm not going to tell you my real name.
Yeah. I mean, my real name's Jake.
Yeah.
If you guys were worried about it.
Yeah.
I mean, technically it's Jacob, I suppose.
But, yeah, his name is Jake. But my name is not Hugo.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Here's the thing. Most people I know call me Hugo at this point.
It's like it is your name.
It basically is de facto. That's what you guys know me as. It's who I am. It's fine.
My name de facto is Jake.
Yeah.
No one calls me Jacob unless they're mad at me.
Yeah. So.
Like lady friends or my mom.
Yeah. The only person who regularly calls me by my real name is my girlfriend.
Yeah, and it bothers me.
Well, that's my real name.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Shouldn't.
It does count,
change
though.
Your mind.
In fairness, you did know me first, and you've always known me as Hugo. So.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
I don't know. Anyway, as far as you guys are concerned, it's Hugo. Don't fucking worry about it. So thanks, everyone. That's the end of this extra long episode of Ask Hugo / Jake Reads Your Comments. And next week we're going to be doing, we're having our last guest video of December, and you'll see who that is at the time.
Yep.
Then we'll do a movie review. I'm thinking right now it's going to be Left Behind. We tried to get that Kirk Cameron movie. Couldn't.
So we're doing, Left Behind. And then on the 23rd, which is the Tuesday, we don't want to do it on Christmas Eve because we feel like everyone's going to be busy, but the day before Christmas Eve, the 23rd, we will have the Christmas special up. Yeah. And that should be really great. We have a lot of people that you guys like. We have some returning characters, and I cannot wait. I just cannot wait for you guys to find out what the plot is, because it's just, I think it's so fucking funny, and man, I'm so excited.
If you guys haven't seen last year's Christmas special, by the way, here's a link to that.
Yeah.
Not enough people have seen it.
I don't think so either. And also, it gets you in the Christmas spirit. This is one of my favorite things we've ever worked on, if not the favorite thing, because it just, all the work that it went into it, as well as the story, and Logic reads us a Christmas poem throughout the whole thing. Yeah. The music is fun. We have some Ray Comfort, some Deepak Chopra, an Australian guy. We have Siri with a beard. King Herod's bit made me fucking crack up. I mean, we did the nativity story. You guys gotta watch it.
Yeah, so check that out.
It's hilarious. You will not regret it. Yeah.
So thanks everyone for watching. Until next time, I'm Hugo.
And I am Jake.
And this has been The Bible Reloaded.
That was dramatic.
Yeah, this is all dramatic.
We do this in stage makeup.
Yeah, kabuki.
Kabuki makeup.